Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're all about birthday personality profiles. And, you sent in some really interesting stuff about January 30th, so we're going to dig into that.
Oh yeah, these systems of belief are always so interesting to look at, even if we're like just kind of poking around to see what's up.
Hmm.
Never know, right? Might find something interesting.
Exactly. No judgment here.
Yeah.
We're diving headfirst into Adam's birthday book, and let me tell you, they don't hold back. January 30th, get ready. It's the day of take charge.
Wow. Okay. Right off the bat, kind of dramatic.
Right.
But I like it. It makes you think, and it totally fits that classic archetype, right? The person who's like, I got this, not afraid to lead, to kind of step up and show everyone how it's done.
Totally. But Adam's birthday book goes even further than that. It's not just about leading, it's about building something totally new. Like, see ya later to the old way. They're all about making their own mark.
Yeah, almost like a rebellious streak in there.
Right, like, get out of my way, I'm doing things my way. But then it gets even more interesting. The book claims people born on January 30th have, like, crazy good judgment, especially when things get tough. Almost like they're, like, expecting a crisis.
It's like life is just one big dress rehearsal for the main event.
Yeah.
Makes sense if you think about the whole leadership thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Having that vision, being ready to make those tough calls when no one else wants to. But, I do wonder. It does say things like ruthless, even mentions questionable behavior.
Oh, so it's not all sunshine and roses then. Sounds like that drive to leave their mark. It could, I don't know. Maybe it leads to some not so great choices along the way, prioritizing goals above, well, everything else.
It's that classic dilemma, ambition versus idealism. Because here's the thing. The book also stresses how incredibly important trust is to these January 30th folks.
Really?
Yeah, they depend on it, work hard to earn it, and keep it.
Mm.
Because people, apparently, tend to just believe in them.
Interesting. So it's like they're searching for that real connection, that foundation of trust, but then their own ambition might end up making that super hard. Kind of a tough spot to be in, right?
Totally. Shows how complex we are, right? Wanting to do good, be a leader, but also maybe getting tempted by power. It's a balancing act for sure.
No kidding. Makes you wonder how that all plays out for a real person. Their relationships, work. How do they make that work? Do they figure it out or?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's not limited to January 30th birthdays either. That whole ambition thing, leaving your mark, but also being a good person, something we all deal with.
So true. But for anyone who's super into this whole birthday analysis thing, Adam's birthday book takes it up a notch, gets kind of mystical. It says the number 3 and the planet Jupiter are like huge for January 30th people.
It's wild how these systems just connect the dots between things that seem totally random, birthdays, numbers, planets. So what's the deal with the number 3? What's it supposed to mean?
Get this. It's all about their ambition, their leadership. Like it's all connected to that whole take charge energy we were talking about.
Hold on. In numerology, 3 is all about creativity, expressing yourself.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, when you say it like that, it does kind of fit. Making your mark, doing things your way, all that jazz.
Right. It's like they're hardwiring to stand out no matter what. And get this, their tarot card is, wait for it, the Empress. Abundance, nurturing, all about the material world.
That feels different somehow. Doesn't really scream take charge, does it? Or maybe it does.
Okay, you're going to have to explain that one.
Okay, think about it. Leadership isn't always about barking orders or being super controlling. Think about a garden.
Okay.
The Empress, she's not out there yelling at the plants to grow faster, is she? She's creating the right environment, providing what they need to thrive.
Oh, I see what you mean. So it's less about like dictatorship and more about setting the stage, letting others shine. And when you consider how vital trust is for these January 30th people, it clicks.
Exactly. Trust is the key, right? It's the bedrock of everything. Healthy relationships, success, everything. If you don't have it, you're building on sand.
Totally makes sense. So what we're seeing here with January 30th is they're ambitious, they're natural leaders, got to create and build, but at their core, they need that trust and connection big time.
And that's where things get super interesting, right? Try to balance those two sides. It's a lot, wouldn't you say?
Totally. But Adam's birthday book isn't done. They get into health too. Apparently, January 30th folks should watch out for circulatory problems, leg issues. Oh, and they should take naps.
The health stuff always makes me think about that mind-body connection. Maybe these take-charge personalities need to be reminded to chill out sometimes. Rest, recharge.
Yeah, maybe they're prone to burning the candle at both ends.
It's possible.
Even with all the kind of out there stuff, Adam's birthday book is giving us a lot to think about. But before we go too far, let's hear from you. Does any of this ring true for you? What feels right? What feels off? We want to know.
We'll be right back and keep going with our January 30th deep dive. Don't go anywhere. It's almost like they're hardwired for action, like those born on January 30th, this whole day at Take Charge thing. It's not just a label. It's like part of their DNA or something.
Totally. And we've been really digging into Adam's birthday book here, but I'm curious, what's been like the most surprising thing so far for you?
I think it's that constant tension between like this massive drive, this ambition that could like move mountains, but then this deep need for trust, for connection. It's like they're on this tightrope, conquering the world but still needing a soft place to land.
That is such a good point. And it makes you wonder, how does someone like that, someone who really connects with this whole January 30th thing, how do they actually live with that? Are they like aware of it all the time? Or does it just kind of come out in weird ways?
Maybe they're drawn to careers where they can build something new, be the boss, but they still want that team, those strong connections, that trust. Or maybe it shows up in their relationships, like needing to be the reliable one, but also really wanting that same support from the people they care about.
It's almost like they're natural leaders, but they don't want to be alone up there. They need that connection to keep going.
Exactly.
Right.
And that explains why something like betrayal would be so hard for them. It's not just about the act itself. It's like their whole world gets rocked,
Because it's like this vulnerability, right? Even though Adam's birthday book makes him sound super tough, maybe even a little ruthless sometimes. But maybe that vulnerability, that need for trust, it's what makes them relatable. Who hasn't felt betrayed or scared of having their trust broken?
Totally. It reminds us that everyone, even people who seem totally put together, they still want those real connections, those places where you can let your guard down.
So true. What about you listening right now? Do you know any January 30th people? Do they fit this, or maybe you relate? It's wild to see how these like personality types actually play out in real life.
It adds this whole other layer, doesn't it? It's not just a random date on the calendar anymore. It's like potential and contradictions and like that basic human need to connect. It's a lot.
Speaking of connections, let's circle back to the number 3 for a sec. Adam's birthday book mentions it, right? But it's crazy how often you see that number, like throughout history, in different cultures. It's like it means something universally.
It's true. Myths, religious texts, even just thinking about life and death, 3 keeps popping up. Birth, life, death. Like it's this basic building block.
Yeah, like it's the foundation, the starting point for like creating something new, something bigger. Which, when you think about January 30th people, it totally tracks. They're all about building, making their mark. It's almost like they're tapping into that universal energy of the number 3.
Whoa, that's a cool way to look at it. Not just influenced by it, but actually embodying it.
Right. And then there's the tarot, right? The Empress card. Okay, full disclosure, when I first heard that, I was confused. It didn't scream take charge to me at all.
It's funny how we can get stuck on certain images, right? But leadership doesn't always look like we expect. The Empress, she's got a different kind of power. It's about creating, nurturing, inspiring. And for that to really work, you got to have trust. That's where it starts.
Okay, so instead of an army, it's like she's guiding a whole civilization. But I got to ask, symbolically, what else is there to the Empress? What else can we connect back to January 30th?
Well, she's often connected to abundance, not just money, but emotionally, spiritually, fertility, growth, that whole web of life,
Okay, so we got abundance, growth, interconnectedness. Are we going to get to take charge at some point? Because I'm starting to think Adam's birthday book got it all wrong. Maybe it should be like the Day of the Nurturer or something.
Hold on. Don't forget. The Empress, she's still an authority figure. She's a queen, right?
Yeah.
She commands respect, but not through fear. It's her wisdom, her compassion. That's her power.
Okay, I get it. She's not afraid to rule, but she's ruling with her heart, too, not just her head.
Exactly. And again, we're back to that balance. Ambition, the need for trust. The Empress, she gets that real power, comes from finding that sweet spot.
It's like she's the ultimate January 30th energy, driven but also caring, ambitious but still connected to people, gets things done but doesn't have to bulldoze everyone to do it.
She knows success isn't just about the destination. It's the journey and who you bring along with you.
That's such a good point. And honestly, that's something we can all learn from, right? No matter when our birthday is.
100%. But we're not done with January 30th yet. We still have to talk about careers, potential challenges, all that good stuff.
Coming right up. Don't go anywhere. It's funny, right? We started with Adam's birthday book, and now it's like we're talking about like what makes a good leader, what ambition really means. It's kind of deep.
I know, it's like these systems, even if you're like, I don't know about all that,
Yeah.
they make you think. And that's kind of the point, isn't it?
Totally. But let's get back to those January 30th folks. We're saying they're natural leaders, ambitious, but also got to have that trust, that connection. So what kind of jobs do they actually end up doing?
Right. It's interesting to think about. You could totally see them as entrepreneurs,
Mm-hmm.
building something from nothing, being their own boss, but still having that team, that shared energy.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. They're not afraid of hard work, full of ideas. But it's not all startups, right? What about, like, fighting for a cause they believe in? Politics, activism, that kind of thing.
Yeah. That fits with the whole idealism thing, right? It's
Yep.
not just about them getting ahead. They want to make the world better, leave their mark, but in a good way.
It's like they just gotta DO something. Can't just sit around. They want to be in the thick of it, making things happen.
And that energy, it can be pretty contagious. People are drawn to that.
Right,
All that intensity. It can be a lot to handle. So that'd be
Yeah.
a downside, right?
For sure. We talked about the ruthless thing, that line they gotta walk. But what else? What should a January 30th person watch out for, besides bad circulation and skipping their naps?
Right. Well, burnout is a big one. If you're always on, always pushing, it's easy to forget to take care of yourself. Maybe that's where the whole nap thing comes in.
Like, the universe is telling them to slow down. It's okay to rest.
Exactly. And not just physically, right?
Yeah.
Mentally, emotionally, got to recharge. It's like January 30th, people might need to work extra hard at setting boundaries, learning to delegate, not feeling like they have to do it all themselves.
Because you can't pour from an empty cup, right?
Exactly. And honestly, that's good advice for everyone.
100%. But it's cool how we started with one specific birthday. And it's like, these themes, they're universal. Everyone deals with this stuff in some way.
Totally. These personality profiles, they're not about putting people in boxes. It's more like starting a conversation.
Yeah.
Helping us understand ourselves and each other a little better.
So true. So if you're listening, whether you believe all the birthday stuff or not, it's kind of cool to think that maybe, just maybe, your birth date says something about you, your strengths, your weaknesses, what you're really searching for.
It reminds us we're all kind of messy and complicated, and that's a good thing.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
That's all the time we have for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us. And remember, every day is a chance to discover something new about yourself, about the world, about everything.